On Themistode, FightHype.com, here with David Benavidez. What's going on with you, champ?
Going good, man. Just living every day. Everything is going amazing right now.
All right. So, can't start off an interview without talking about, Caleb Plant, crazy performance. Before everything had played out, how did you see it all like kind of shaping out before going into it?
I felt like it was a pretty good fight. There was a lot of back and forth. I'm really surprised at Anthony Dirrell. He seemed fast. He was landing some good shots. He's getting caught with some good shots by Caleb Plant too. But I'm really more just surprised about the knockout. I didn't think Caleb had it in him to pull out the knockout. But there's not too much fighters that could take a flush left hook on the chin like that. You know what I mean? So but overall, it was a good performance. It was a good fight. I feel like it adds more to our fight. Builds it up more, and hopefully we get that fight in May.
Let's just say that you guys do end up getting the fight. I know speaking to you before, you were always just like, I'm gonna stop him, I'm gonna take care of business against him. But now, do you kind of say, hey, I know I'm still gonna take care of business against him, but look, I gotta be a little bit wary of his power. If he can knock out a guy like Dirrell like that, who's usually pretty durable, I kind of got to watch out myself a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, every fight, I mean, it's always going to be the same. I still feel like I'm going to go in and I'm going to stop Caleb Plant. I'm going to knock him out. But if for me, every fight, I've always been, kind of weary of everybody's power, because this is different. This is professional. Everybody has that one shot that can knock you out if you get hit flushly. You know what I mean? So it's always, you always got to go in there worrying about the defense and stuff like that. I mean, I don't think anything changes from this, from what happened on the weekend. I feel like it's still going to be a great fight. I feel like you just have to go in there and get ready to get hit with some shots. This is professional boxing. So that's why you got to work out the neck, you got to work out the chin, and just keep working.
Do you look at a guy like Caleb Plant and say, he's also a great fighter. Fighting him will take my game to the next level. Or do you kind of look at him and say, yeah, he's good, but I'm gonna walk right through this dude, man.
No, it's I've always given him respect. He's a good fighter, and this is exactly why I want to fight him because once, like how you said, once you fight another great fighter, it elevates your talent, and it brings the best out of you. And that's why I want to get these fights with with the top guys at 168 because I know myself. I know once I get put in that hard place, the best comes out of me. That's why I'm excited to get these fights, and that's why I know I could beat these guys because I've been sparring world champions since I was 14, and I've always done really well with all the world champions. And now that I'm a world champ, well, I've won the belt myself. I'm an interim champion now. I know exactly what I can do and what I'm capable of, and I know the best will come out in me. Because we have a lot of history, me and Caleb. So this is not going to be a fight that I go in there and I don't take serious. I'm going to take this fight very serious. I'm going to work extremely hard. I already work hard in all my other camps, so this one is going to be a little bit more personal. So it's really going to bring out the best of me.
Let's just say, putting you aside for a moment, I think a matchup between you and Caleb is probably the fight that a lot of people want to see. But, after the fight, he kind of looked into the crowd. He was talking to Jermall, kind of egging on that beef between, himself and Jermall. From a non-biased standpoint, putting yourself right in the middle, who would you kind of favor in that matchup between Jermall and Caleb?
I think, to be honest, I feel like Charlo has the punching power to hurt him. Um, I don't know, but I favor Caleb a little bit more. I feel like favor Caleb a little bit more. I don't think Charlo he has that power at 168. He has it on 160, but in 168, I don't think it'll carry over much like that. But I still feel like it would be a great fight. Me, Caleb, Charlo, David Morrell, all those fights would be really close fights. They won't be, like fucking like just a one-sided fight. There'd be close fights because we're all really talented. So me and Charlo and Plant, and then Morrell too. They're all be really close fights. So they'd all be really good fights.
At this point, are you a little, I guess I want to say, a little sick and tired of talking about Charlo only because you really want the fight? Everybody really wants the fight. I really want to see that shit.
Yeah.
But, Charlo, it kind of feels like he's gone off the grid a little bit. So, maybe it's kind of simmering down. So, are you a little tired of talking about it?
Yeah, I am a little bit tired of talking about it. But I feel like right now we're in a good position because after this fight, I think the big fights are going to come. I don't think a fight with Charlo is going to happen, but definitely Caleb Plant and David Morrell later in the future. But, Charlo, like you said, he went off the grid. I don't know what his plans are. He doesn't really talk about anything, and we don't even know when his next fight is going to be. But, I feel like we're just going to forget about that fight. We got three good names right now. We got Uzcategui, we got Caleb Plant, and then maybe Morrell later this year. So, or next year. So, like I said, we're kind of forgetting about Charlo. We're just going to worry about these three guys in front of us.
Do you look at, obviously nobody even has to ask. You're an elite fighter. Don't have to ask about Plant, Charlo either. Even though he's been a little inactive, all of you guys are elite level fighters. But do you look at Morrell as an elite level fighter, even though he's about, I want to say like 6-0, 7-0? Do you look at him as an elite fighter right now?
The only reason I'm actually even mentioning his name is because he has a WBA interim. I feel like if I can't get the world titles, and my job right now is to get all the interim titles, and he's pretty good. I think he still needs a little bit more experience. But if they want to give me that fight right now, I'll take it. I'll take it right away. But yeah, he has a good amateur career. I think he went to Olympics or something. So I feel like he's a pretty good fighter. He hasn't really fought anybody, but he's a solid fighter.
Gotcha. Now, a little bit low key. There's another guy who's moving. I think he's moving up. I know his last fight was at, I want to say it was a catchweight or something like that. But Yami Munguia, dude, how do you kind of view him? Is he somebody that you kind of have in the back of your mind, like, oh shit, he's coming up here, gotta pay attention to him, or do you not really pay attention to him at all?
Yeah, I pay attention to him. I like Munguia. He's a really good fighter. I feel like he's kind of the same like me. He has, but the difference for me, I have more speed. He's a power puncher. He throws a lot of combinations, and he gives the fans what they want to see. So I respect him a lot. But I would love to get a fight in with him. I feel like he has the same troubles as me too, because he doesn't really get the fights that he wants to get. I know I could see it in him. He wants to fight the best of the best, but it's hard for him to get those fights too. So if maybe we could get a fight with him in the future, then that would be a great fight to make.
Gotcha. That would be dope. But talking about you and Uzcategui, ultimately, regardless of promoters and anything like that, the decision always kind of falls on your lap. You know what I mean? And you were gonna fight the guy in November of last year, failed PED test. So what kind of goes through your mind when you're just like, okay, they bring him back to your table and you're just like, do I want to fight this guy who failed the test? Or are you just like, I'll take him, forget it?
Yeah, so me and him, we don't have any bad history, but I've sparred him back then, and I always thought in my head that I was going to fight him at one point in my career. So that's the fight I want to get in. And honestly, if you look at it, if I'm not fighting the other elite fighters, I feel like he's the best one to get on my resume. He was an ex-champion. He fought Caleb Plant. So there's something right there that I still have to prove. I want to go in there and beat him worse than Caleb Plant did. So there's that level of there's that element too. But like I said, I was looking for a fight with David Morrell in November. That didn't happen. I could have actually fought Caleb Plant too, but because he's did his comeback fight, that was out the question. Charlo, we couldn't get Charlo. The only other name I'd heard that was a possibility of me fighting was Jesse Hart, and that fell through too. So Uzcategui is the only one there, So after this, but I got to go in there. I got to look impressive. I'm going to work extremely hard. My plan is to knock Uzcategui out or stop him because he's never been stopped. And then after that, potentially the fight with Caleb Plant.
At what point are you just like, because when I talk to you either in person, 'cause I've talked to you in person several times, and you're just kind of, you kind of have an attitude of, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? Like at what point
Yeah.
are you just like, yo, bruh, like I'm really getting frustrated. I'm not getting these damn fights, man.
Yeah. I feel like this is the thing about boxing too. You just got to be patient, bro. I did some interviews a couple like a month ago, and everybody was talking about it. I feel like I just got to be patient. I got to be patient, but my time is coming soon. The good thing about me is I still got time on my side. I'm barely 25. I turned 26 this year, so there's still a lot of time. There's still a lot of time. I just got to be patient, and that's just what it is,
Do you do you kind of feel a little bit of pressure only from the standpoint of, I think a lot of people going into the Plant versus Dirrell fight they were just like, okay, we think Plant should win. Dirrell's a little bit older, but a lot of people thought that Plant would win by like, maybe like a lopsided decision or something like that. But he goes out there, stops him in the same round that you stopped him. So do you kind of look at it and just say, okay, I really got to go out there and make a statement against Uzcategui?
Yeah, well, my plan, even though if he wouldn't have knocked Dirrell out, was still to go make a statement. But now I don't really feel like it's pressure, but I definitely want to go out there and put a beating on Uzcategui. But the thing that you got to see too is when I stopped Dirrell, I had just turned 23 years old. You know what I mean? So there's a big difference. Caleb Plant is 30 years old, so there's a big difference in experience in that. But I feel like it was a good fight. He did what he had to do. But honestly, I feel like I'm the stronger fighter, I'm the hungrier fighter, and I'm just excited, man. I feel like this fight has to happen soon, and when it happens, I'm gonna be more than ready for it.
Is it also kind of like the perfect setup from the standpoint of, all right, not Dirrell, Plant fought a guy you fought. Now you're fighting somebody that Plant fought. Does it kind of feel like, okay, I already know this Plant fight coming up next. Like it has to.
Yeah, so that's definitely our mindset right now. So yeah, man, I'm just excited. I feel like this is the next step. But first things first, we got to stay focused. We can't overlook Uzcategui. He's a strong puncher. He's an ex-champion. But I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna take care of business and I'm gonna look great doing it. And then after that, I'm gonna call out Caleb Plant.
Talk about Uzcategui a little bit. Tell me a few things that you kind of have to worry about him. I mean, obviously, he's a big knockout puncher, things of that nature. But, like you said, you've sparred him, you've watched his career. I believe he has 3 wins in a row. I believe all of them have come before the second or fourth round, his last recent fights. So just tell me a little bit about him and say, okay, I really have to watch out for X, Y, and Z when he's in there, man.
I feel like the only thing he really has to offer is a good right hand. He is strong. I know that personally because I sparred him before. But I feel like other than that, I have the better jab. I have the better body shots, have the better speed. My chin is really good too. So I don't know. This fight, that's what I'm saying. I'm training extremely hard for this fight because you can't overlook nobody, especially a power puncher like that. So I really got to be on my P's and Q's. But like I said, if he takes me to a spot that's really uncomfortable for me, the best is going to come out of me. So I hope he really makes it a really hard fight for me because I know myself what I could do and what I'm capable of. So that's why I'm really excited for this fight too. It's going to be a good fight. It's not going to be easy. It's probably going to take me a lot to stop Uzcategui, but I know in my heart that I'm going to stop Uzcategui.